hunt and find. Let's go to chapter 3. All right. So for chapter 3, I want you to kind of take notes as you go along. We're basically going to be asking a bunch of questions, trivia, I guess not really trivia questions, but kind of multiple choice questions. Yes, sir.
For the homework assignment, was that for the change reflection assignment?
No, that's for the managers versus leaders. The managers versus leaders is in week 5. Okay, cool. That's the week that we're not having class, so you'll have plenty of time outside of class to complete that assignment. I may have strategically put it there just because I was going to be out of town. All right, so chapter 3, we're looking at our quest for quality. Okay. When you think of the word quality, I want you to write down maybe a couple of words, maybe a phrase that you think about when you hear the word quality. Someone says, how would you define what is quality to you? How would you define quality? So just write down in your notes how you would identify quality. All right, Carrie Ellie, what do you think?
Something you experience it through your senses.
Okay, so you can experience it through your senses. Good. Okay, so how do you know something is good quality or bad quality?
Quality, it can be subjective.
Uh-huh.
So just kind of by a person's standards, and also by the.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you mentioned that it is subjective, meaning basically on your own standards. What you think of as quality, maybe what somebody else doesn't associate with quality. Um, and that's one reason why I've never been to Disney World, because I'm so afraid that I have such a high pedestal and a high idea of what the customer service is going to be. If it doesn't meet that, then I'm going to be like, I paid how much? And they don't meet my expectations, right? I am still consistently reminded, though, that I should still go at some point. Okay. Okay. I will keep that in mind. I will keep that in mind. All right. Somebody else. Who else? Chad, what do you think about when you hear the word quality? How would you define that? Okay. Yeah. Prestigious. What's like a quality brand that you can think of? Versace. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Good. Anybody else? Thoughts on quality? Uh-huh. Louis Vuitton. Okay. Excellent.
It's like a bit of time consideration, whatever maybe.
Okay, so give me an example. Okay. Yeah, I like that idea. I mean, Chef Pequeño, don't tell her I said this. I love Chef Pequeño. I think she is awesome. I also love that she comes with her toolkit, right? And she has those little tweezers that will like put the flour just in the right spot on the plate. And I think that goes to that level of quality, that attention to detail can make a huge difference. It's not just thrown on there, that it's actually placed. And I love that. I don't know when those tweezers came on the scene, but they have made an appearance for sure, and that is associated with that quality. Okay. All right. High quality is High quality service is one that meets or exceeds the guest expectations. What do you think? True or false? One or two? Show me with your fingers. And then just keep track as we go through these how many questions you got right, how many you got wrong. Okay. High quality service. All right, the answer is there we go. True. Okay. We want to meet or exceed our guests' expectations. High quality of service is one that meets or exceeds guest expectations. Components of perceived service quality. Okay, so what makes a perceived service quality? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. What do we think? All right, it is all of them. How reliable something is. Am I going to go and eat at a restaurant and am I going to get the same level of service, the same quality of food every time I go? Okay. That kind of goes along the lines of reliability and assurance. Okay. The tangibility. Chad and Moses talked about Versace and Louis Vuitton as tangible products. Okay. Um, the tangible things. What are the tangible things in hotels? Okay, how clean the place is. Good. What else? The bed. Yeah. Did y'all know that? I don't know how many years ago, I need to memorize this date, but how many years ago Weston invested $10 million to create the heavenly bed? And I'm here to tell you, it is heavenly. Okay. It is absolutely heavenly. You just sink into it. And it's not just the bed mattress itself, it's all the sheets, it's all the comforters, it's the duvet, it's all the layers of that heavenly bed. And for a small fortune, you can take that bed home and have it delivered. Not that specific bed, but you can have a bed delivered at home, so you can have that heavenly experience. Those tangibles make a huge difference, right? For a hotel, one of the things that I personally judge is the towels. The towels are scratchy, and that's not a very good quality product. And so those tangibles are really important. The responsiveness. If something goes wrong, how quickly do they fix the problem? Not only how quickly do they fix the problem, but how do they fix the problem? So I went to Whiskey Cake. Anybody been to Whiskey Cake? Okay. Great, great spot. And my burger was severely undercooked. Okay. Now, I like my steak medium rare, but my ground beef, a little bit more cooked than a medium rare. Okay. And so they immediately, luckily, when I eat my burger, I cut my burger in half. And so immediately I saw it was far undercooked. And so the server came over, I pointed it out, they agreed, they took it back. Manager came over and was like, "Would you like a cup of soup?" I was like, "Well, I don't need soup, right? I'm doing this from one industry professional to another to let you know that something's going wrong, and I want you to fix that before the next person is not as understanding as me, throws a fit about their burger being undercooked. I know you're going to fix it. That's no big deal." And he kept insisting, "Are you sure you don't want any soup? Okay, if it'll make you happier, it'll make you feel that I am happier, I will eat your soup." Okay. But I don't need your soup. I'm telling you right now, I don't need it. I'm also like a cost control professor, and I'm like, I know that soup costs something. You don't need to give it to me. You're already remaking my burger, whatever. I didn't say all that, but in my head I did. But that responsiveness is really important on how we provide that what we call guest service recovery. Okay, guest service recovery, and then empathy, I think, is really important to keep in mind. All right, one of the best ways for managers to distinguish their properties from others is to provide excellent service. True or false? All right, that is true. Good. Which hotel chain teaches every staff member we are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen? Hilton, Marriott, Hyatt, or Ritz-Carlton? What do we think? What do we think? It is the Ritz-Carlton. Okay. The Ritz-Carlton is renowned for providing exceptional guest service. There's different stories that float around. Their associates are empowered to spend upwards of $1,000 to make something right without asking management. Okay. There's a story of a time where guests left their laptop in their hotel room and they're getting ready to board their flight. And so that associate got the laptop, got in the cab, took the cab to the airport, hand delivered the laptop to the guest, took the cab back to the hotel, and the company paid for the cab ride. They didn't have to ask. Okay. So Ritz-Carlton, I love this saying. Let me see how I can phrase this in a polite way. I already know how a guest interaction is going to go if the guest comes up to me and says, the maid did something wrong. Okay, first of all, they're not maids. They are room attendants. We can call them housekeepers. Okay, if we don't want to call them room attendants, that's what we call them in industry. But a housekeeper, if someone comes to me like, the maid took my laptop. Okay, already I have a preconception of what state of mind this person is and like their perceptions of where they come. Okay. And then I always think about this saying from Ritz-Carlton. We are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. Okay. We are not servants to our guests. We are here to provide a service for them. And so I think that's really important for us as managers to communicate that to our staff to understand. That's where we get, if someone comes in and they're yelling and screaming, that's not an appropriate way to talk to or interact with one of our associates. And so as a manager, I'm going to step in and say, I'm sorry, that is not appropriate. That's not how we speak to our staff. And so we either need to dial it down and get things under control, or you can be excused from our property. Okay. I think oftentimes, and we as an industry have done this to ourselves. I think oftentimes the customer thinks they're always right. They're not always right. Okay. And so sometimes we have to educate and re-educate our customers and our guests on what is appropriate behavior. And I don't know what happened during the pandemic, but I feel like it has just exasperated since the pandemic. And people just forgot how to have normal, cordial conversations or forgot how to complain about something. Okay. Something went wrong. Okay. Well, this isn't a personal attack on you as an individual. I didn't make it go wrong because you were my guest. It's just, we have a bad day. Let me fix it. Go ahead, Moses.
I thought that I think that is a challenge.
Yeah. And to be 100% honest, I think it also comes down to the leadership and communicating and realizing that our workforce is different today than our workforce from the past. Some things that we think are common sense are not always common sense to everybody. Okay. And so sometimes we have to be a little bit more descriptive in what we tell our teams to do. Okay. Or we have to explain things in a way that allows people to better understand what their role is in the overall success. So yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with just people not understanding. Quality management is simply a management tool to be added on to other management tools, true or false. So quality management is capitalized. That's the actual like program quality management. It's a management tool to be added on to other management tools. True or false? All right, that is true. It's not the end all be all. We have to still implement our other management tools, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Quality management is not just a way to deliver high quality products and services, it's also a way to change how people what? How people think, work, or relate to other people. What do we think? Quality management is also a way to change how people relate to other people. Okay. We need to have that when we're looking for quality, we also want to make sure, again, we think about our internal and external customers. How are we working together with those two different groups of people? I'm going to make a generational comment. Please don't judge me. Okay. It seems as though younger generations don't deal with conflict as well as older generations. For whatever reason, I don't know what those reasons are, but it seems like younger generations, when a customer is a guest is complaining, it seems like they feel like they are complaining about them as an individual, when in reality, they're not. They're upset about something else in general. Maybe it's something about the situation, something about, maybe it's not even about the situation at hand, right? I'll give you a quick example. A guest came in late at night. The airline had lost their luggage. They had been delayed 2 or 3 times during the day, and they were upset that I couldn't check them in because the computer system, it was after like 1 o'clock, and I've already run my reports for the day, right? And so they were upset that I couldn't check them in because my system was busy. I literally couldn't issue any keys if I wanted to, right? And so I learned my lesson. What I should have done is pre-programmed keys for anybody who hasn't arrived yet, that just in the happenstance that they do arrive, that I have those keys all ready to go. So I learned my lesson there, right? But the guest wasn't upset the fact that the computer, they weren't mad at me because I couldn't do it. They were upset because they were frustrated. They were travel delays all day. The airline lost their luggage, you know? And so again, as a manager, how can I take that situation and turn it into a positive? Okay. You know what? We have at our front desk little toolkits put together for people who lose their luggage. It has a toothpaste, toothbrush, a razor for shaving. It has this, this, and this, right? Mr. Smith, I'm so sorry. I apologize that you experienced that. Here is a small little toolkit for you to get you through the morning. Yes, Daniel.
So this question, would 1 and 2 not also apply?
Yeah, it does.
Thinking your employees that want to provide better customer service.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. It definitely does change 1 and 2. Correct. So I probably should have an all the above option on there. Yes, thank you for that. Good call. All right. Any other questions about quality management and how we learn how to relate with other people and approach those jobs? Because again, okay, I experienced this issue. What can I do to improve the quality so that this issue, when I'm faced with it again, I can respond more quickly, I can respond more effectively? Absolutely. Achieving and maintaining long-term relationships with customers, employees, and suppliers should be a manager's focus rather than short-term profits. What do we think? Relationship building versus short-term profits. That is true. Okay, good. Quality is a journey, not a destination. That is true. Quality is a moving target. What do I mean by that, Andrew? What's that? It is always changing. How is it always changing from an internal or external perspective, or both? Both, okay. How can quality change from an external perspective? Daniel. Yeah, absolutely. So anytime any of our competition is doing something better, right? We may look at that as an opportunity to either try to match them or try to exceed their quality so we can attract those guests back. Yep. What about internally? Your work is in your employees? Okay. What do you mean by that? Yeah, absolutely. Because you're the just like our customers, their perception of quality, like Carrie Ellie mentioned earlier, just like our customers have a changing what's considered quality. At one point, and no shade on McDonald's, but at one point, like chicken nuggets were like the end all be all, right? And then you've got Chili's coming in with those chicken crispers, which they've changed, which I'm kind of upset about, but those chicken crispers were awesome, right? And so people's expectations and people's perception of quality changes over time. Now, I'm not going to turn down a 20-piece chicken nugget, so all right. The once radical ideas of Deming and Duran, those are two people we'll talk about very briefly in the last few minutes of class, became everyday language in business today. That is never became everyday language in business today. That is false. They are now part of that conversation of quality. So Deming believes managers should be more authoritarian than helpful. It's false. He's most known for his 14 points of management. Hold on, let's get through these because these are kind of boring. Let's get to the actual. Here we go. In our last 6 minutes of class, okay? In our last 6 minutes of class, 14 points of quality. We want to have a consistency of purpose. We can't be changing our vision every time we want to change our vision just to fit the situation that we're in. This is the vision of our organization. We need to figure out how we can accomplish that vision. Okay. Now, again, sometimes maybe we need to change it for a long-term vision, but just because something's happening now doesn't mean we're going to respond to it and change our whole theory of our organization. What does that mean by cease dependence on inspection to achieve quality? Cease dependence on inspection to achieve quality. Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody like micromanaging.
Absolutely. Yeah. Think about our housekeepers, right? If a supervisor has to go and check every single room and you've got a 5,000 room hotel, how many supervisors do you have to have? That's not very effective, right? But there are actually now a lot of hotels that are going to like a self-inspection. So that room attendant has basically certified, yes, I have done all of these things, right? And so that puts more ownership on them, right? Because if you rely on that inspection, now I'm not saying don't ever inspect. We want to have maybe be a little bit more selective in it, right? But if we are dependent on, in order to say it's high quality, that has to be inspected, that slows down the process. Okay. I like the drive out fear, point number 8. Basically, your employees, your associates should not be fearful of saying, hey, this could happen a little bit better this way, right? Now, you as a manager still have to take that feedback, listen to it, and then decide what you're going to do with it. And you may decide, you know what, that's going to cost too much money to implement, or we're going to keep doing it this way. But here's the reason why we're going to keep doing it this way. Okay. The one that I really liked is 9 and 10. Break down barriers between departments. Okay. Well, I got 3 minutes. Okay, cool. So break down barriers between departments. When I was at the Sheraton Gunther Hotel, I was in the server in the restaurant. Every Friday, Saturday, we'd have a soup and salad buffet, right? In the banquets department, they didn't have enough soup spoons. So we literally there was a panel in the wall that was loose, and we were literally hiding soup spoons in the panel of the wall because otherwise the banquet staff would come and take our soup spoons, and then we'd have no soup spoons for our soup and salad buffet. And we as servers couldn't do our job effectively, right? So as a manager, it's like, hey, how about we just buy some new soup spoons? Let's figure that out, right? I know it's easier said than done because you got budgets that you're working with, but let's figure out why we're missing soup spoons. But if we break down those barriers between the departments, then they can work together more effectively. Okay. The one slogan, right? You probably can picture it. There's like a little bar, there's a little kitten holding on, and it's like, try harder, right? Those types of slogans, they think they're motivational, but basically what it's saying is if you try just a little bit harder, you'd be successful, right? Try to avoid those types of things because maybe we need to figure out what will help this person be successful is different from what's going to help this person be successful. And that's how we build high quality teams. Okay. The last one is the top the 10 steps of quality improvement process. As we go through this, the one thing that I like in this one is we have to set those goals so everybody knows what we're going for. Okay. If we don't communicate those goals and we don't tell people how we're going to reach those goals, then they're never going to know, right? And they're just going to keep doing their job the way they've always done it, and we're going to be stuck in that rut. Okay. The number 6, report progress, and number 7, give recognition. This is really important. We want to recognize those small accomplishments. Okay, this is our big goal, but our big goal is to reduce our guest complaints by 50%. And this month we did it by 25%. Okay, great. We're getting closer to our goal, right? Celebrate those successes. And then anytime there is any kind of momentum, we want to keep that going. We don't want to like stop. We're like, hey, remember we talked about those inhibitors, those change people that don't want to change. As soon as something that change happens, that quality improvement process happens, and you hit a snag, they're gonna be the first people that be like, see, it didn't work. We should just kept doing the things we've always done it, right? But if we can keep that momentum going when things are moving right and help kind of get those people from being inhibitors to more conservatives and get them towards maybe even being a change champion someday. All right, so as a reminder, we don't have class. We're going to meet at the Alamo Convocation Center. If you need a ride, I would recommend either coordinating with one of your classmates